Check. All right, how y'all doing? Wednesday afternoon, right? Into the conference. Appreciate you guys showing up for this, one of the last breakouts that we have. Just so you guys know, to introduce myself, my name is Alan Richards. I work with a company called AppRiver. You guys stopped by our booth, AppRiver, over in the Tech Expo. How many guys know about AppRiver? Use AppRiver? Good, good, good. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about layered security and the approach that AppRiver and Zumasys both work together on for layered security. I think security is probably one of the things that's on everybody's minds, especially after this week. Everything that's been going on with the ransomware attacks over in Europe. I think they've had some attacks here as well. But rest assured that AppRiver and Zumasys are working with you and want to give you the ability to protect your internal network, your infrastructure, and your users from coming in contact with this. So, how do we do that? Oh, that's okay. I'm going to step over here. So, just so you guys know, what I do at AppRiver, I work with our partners and our channels. Victoria Phillips is here with me as well. So, the title of our presentation is Layered Up. So, when we're talking about this, so work. There we go. Give you guys just a little brief overview of AppRiver. We're founded in 2002. North American company. Our headquarters is in Gulf Breeze, Florida. Does anybody know where Gulf Breeze, Florida is? Right outside of Pensacola, Florida. If you picture the Florida Panhandle, we're like as far west in the Panhandle as you can go before you run into Alabama. So, emerald water, sugar, white sands. Y'all need to come visit us. We've got about 250 employees. We're privately held and self-funded, and we've always been focused on email and web security. We also like people to know that we are cloud-based. Currently, we have over 53,000 clients in more than 40 countries and over 10 million mailboxes that we have managed and supported through our SecureTide spam and virus filter. That was our foundation product when we rolled out in 2002. Just a little bit of information about where we are in the marketplace, the recognition that AppRiver has come into play as far as mxexchange.org, Inc. 5000, just gives you a little bit of information there, some creds. So AppRiver, when we started in 2002, we were one of the first ones out there. If you guys remember, there were 4 major companies around 2007 that were providing what we provide as far as spam and virus protection. You had MXLogic, everybody remember MXLogic? Message Labs. Then you had the other one, I can't even remember it now, the one that Google bought, Postini. And then you had AppRiver. So AppRiver right now is probably the only one that's left that's out of those 4 major ones that are around and self-funded. Everything we do is cloud-based. So we've developed our own SecureTide spam and virus filter. We rolled out in 2006 with our hosted exchange service. And we keep adding more services. So our suite right now goes from spam and virus to hosted exchange to email encryption solution to our global relay archiving solution and web security. So everybody remembers when you're cold, right? You're a little kid, you're cold, your mom says, go outside, layer up. And when I was in Italy, we did that. We layered up, right? Because if you get too hot, you can take something off, but the layers add warmth. And in the same sense, layers add security to your system. So there's several different things that we're going to talk about. I'm going to actually get into a little bit of the ransomware questions, because I know that you guys probably have some questions about this whole deal. So we're going to get into that into a little bit. But we're going to talk about remembering how to layer up your security, your internal network for your business. AppRiver, our SecureTide, right now we're quarantining in the past 365 days. What we've noticed is about 83% of all the mail that comes into your mailboxes are spam, virus, or malware. So that means out of every 100 emails that you get, 83 are going to be junk. 13% of those emails are going to be valid. Now, a lot of those times, that 83% of the emails that you have, the vast majority of them are going to be just harmless, right? Other than offending your eyes or what they put in there, they're not really going to do anything. But there's a lot of them that are not. There's a lot of them that can cause major, major damage. So when we're talking about this, and what I want to do first, I think I'm going to turn over to Bert for a minute here, because I want Bert to really talk about first what Zumasys does and what they can do for you as far as protecting your internal network. And then we're going to come back over and talk about AppRiver's side as far as a cloud-based and what we do. So, Bert, got this one. Oh, you got that one. All right, well, very good.
Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? I'm just kidding. We've been proactively adding some security features to firewalls. Been working with AppRiver. There's been some security updates that Microsoft has released. That's why it hasn't hit a lot of our clients. It's really been based out of UK, really, virus. So we're proactively looking at all your servers. We have monitoring set up 24/7. And whenever we see any strains like this, we'll go ahead and activate or further increase the security. Right? So,
you know, there's pesky little things that you can do on your end to protect yourself. And how many of you guys have your employees or your people that just hit the pause button or the forget button when they do those Windows updates? Windows comes in, right? They hit that flag, the bubble comes up. You need to do your updates. I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Because it stops you in the middle of business, and you don't know what Windows is going to do to the update to your system. But one of the key things that everybody has to realize is that a lot of times when Windows is doing those updates, they're doing security patches. And a lot of the times when people have been hit by this ransomware, it's a lot of it has come because people have failed to do their Windows updates. So I think one of the first things that you have to do is do your Windows updates. Make sure that you're on a current version of Windows and that your updates are done. That's going to be one of the things that protects your network and protect your users. The other thing is to make sure that you have a good AV system on the inside. Because when we're talking about layer security, one of the things that we're going to talk about is protecting from the outside. So what AppRiver has the ability to do is we can protect your email when it comes in. So does everybody realize how SecureTide works? Spam and virus filter? If you don't realize, this is what we do. In the DNS world, right, your email is out floating around, and your MX records point your email, and they say, email, you go here. So with AppRiver, the MX records point to AppRiver. All of your email comes through our SecureTide spam and virus filter, and then the valid email is delivered back to your server or your Office 365 account. Everything that we pull out of your email traffic that we consider spam or malicious or malware goes into a quarantine for 7 days, and you can log back in and you can view your quarantine. You can release things that need to be released. Your users have daily health spam reports. Very good options. But that protects the email portion of it. And right now, just so you're aware, we're catching about 95 to 96% of all the spam messages that come through, we're catching. It's never going to be 100% because if we were 100%, then you would lose a lot of your valid email would go into quarantine. So it's a tightrope walk. But we have a team of spam technicians, security analysts that are currently working 24/7 to update our spam preferences. We update our SecureTide filters anywhere between 2,000 to 4,000 times on a daily basis. And we currently have over 8 million in rules already in place for SecureTide. So SecureTide is very effective, it's very lightweight, and it's very, very easy to run. So because we started off with SecureTide spam and virus filtering, we were able to expand that out, and now we have Secure Surf. Because a lot of the same guys that are sending out this malware in your email and the spam messages, those are the same guys that are trying to get to your end users through the web. So SecureSurf, what we have, protects from the internet layer, and that is a DNS-based system. So when you have it implemented, basically all your outbound internet traffic points to AppRiver, and it bounces up against our DNS servers to show whether it is valid or it's a malicious site. If it's malicious, then you'll be blocked. And if it's valid, you'll go on through. Now, it's not a full proxy system because it's a validation system, really, DNS validation. If we don't have enough information on the website, then we use what's called an adaptive proxy on it. The adaptive proxy will run some tests and see if it's a valid site, and then if it's comes through fine, you'll be allowed through. The other thing that SecureSurf does is, everybody get on MSNBC, CNN, on the sites, right? You have all the ads all over the place. SecureSurf actually tests each one of those portals on the back side to see if they're valid or not. If they're malicious, AppRiver and SecureSurf will block that individual link. It won't block the whole page. It'll just block that individual link. The other thing that SecureSurf does is it will protect you against, if your system happens to be infected by a botnet. One thing that botnets have to do is they have to contact out. They have to phone home, so to speak. So the way that works is if you are in, let's say you have a bot on your system, and it's trying to contact out, one of the things that it has to do is it has to go out through your DNS and make a connection to its command center. And that's via, right, DNS, which is what SecureSurf does. So when it's trying to ping that IP address, SecureSurf is already going to recognize that IP address is malicious, and we're going to block the traffic going out. So that botnet is not going to be able to phone home and send out the critical information. And what we're also going to do is we're going to send a critical threat notification to the admin on the account. In this case, it would be Zumasys. And we would say, you've got something going on your internal network. At that point, Zumasys would be able to step in, monitor your network, and see exactly where the threat's coming from and get everything cleaned up. So that is a layer from inbound and outbound email, a layer from SecureSurf, and then also CipherPost Pro is another service that we have. Now, CipherPost Pro is a desktop-to-desktop email encryption solution. Anybody in here use email encryption, send sensitive information, sensitive documents, anything like that? CipherPost Pro is enterprise-grade email encryption, but it doesn't just do email encryption. It does more than that. There's a lot of services out there that will just encrypt the email from point A to point B, but we offer also large file attachments. So with CipherPost Pro, you can send up to 5 gigs of attachments. You also are able to do e-signatures. If you need e-signature features, that's in there. And there's a full tracking mechanism, so you can actually look at each message and monitor the steps. Has the recipient gotten it? Have they opened it? You can do a full message recall, so it's full email security. So we've talked about secure tags, spam and virus. We have inbound and outbound email protection. We have a daily health spam report. Disaster recovery, we have email continuity service. So that runs in the background all the time if you choose that option. And what that does for you is if your server goes down or if there's a service interruption on Office 365, then that allows you to log into an Outlook web interface and you can send and receive email out of our Outlook web interface while your server's down. So we're talking about disaster recovery, and we're 99% effective at blocking the spam and malware. Only MX records change, so it's very, very simple to set up. In fact, it can be set up within a couple hours. There's no hardware, there's no software, there's nothing that has to be installed on your network or on your workstations. Differentiators, key differentiators between us and some of the other providers out there. It's a proprietary solution that we develop, we own front to back. Talked about the mail rules that are in place, and we have an open mode filtering model. What an open mode filtering model, just so you'll know, a lot of the services out there, when you're doing spam filtering, before you turn it on, you have to go in and configure all the users. You have to configure all the mailboxes, make sure everything is set up before you can turn it on, so it's a lot of work. Ours is not. It's open mode. We filter for the entire domain. So all you have to do is flip the MX records, give us an IP address of where you need to deliver the email, and you're up and running. talked about SecureSurf, protects the network from web-based malware, protects employees, improves their productivity. We talked about the critical threat notification right here. The other thing that I want to say real quick is that with SecureSurf, you're able to block categories of sites, or you're able to block individual sites. We also have a free network threat analysis. So, Bert, if they wanted to set it up, let SecureSurf run, we can actually show you what we're stopping in the background. And I think, Bert, do you have any information on this white paper study that we did here?
If they wanted to set up, they could just call us and we can do it with them.
Now, do you have any information on this with the critical threat notification here that we set up for Baja Sun?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Okay. So this is a case study that was done between Zumasys and this is a client, Baja Sun Growers. And what we did was we set up on the account, and you can look here, over here on this side, and you can see what SecureSurf blocked. 47 acts of malicious spyware, botnet command, phishing, malicious spyware, 319 malicious spyware ads. Personal phishing, technology, phishing, miscellaneous. So there's a lot of stuff, and this is what a study that was done using SecureSurf. Talked about CipherPost Pro. And now we're the layered defense, which can help avoid catastrophe. So when we're looking at this, we're talking now about the ransomware stuff that's come out. So we've talked about Windows updates. We've talked about keeping an internal AV. Internal AVs are important even if you're using SecureTide, even if you're using SecureSurf to protect your web filter and email. That AV is important. How many people would come in, their users might come in and they might bring in a disk, or they might bring in a USB port, and they plug it into their laptop, or they plug it into their network. They may not know what's on that USB, or they may think they know what's on it, and there may be a malicious virus, a botnet, that is on there. So the internal AV is very important. But while we're talking about this, before I get into this ransomware, we've talked about all this technical stuff that Zumasys can provide. We've talked about all the technical stuff that AppRiver can provide. But really when it gets down to nuts